Ladies and gentlemen, we are live. And, we had some issues, a couple of technical difficulties, got us running a little bit behind, but that is okay. We're trying to get our other partner on the line, but hopefully everyone had a happy Thanksgiving. And we hope that everything went well. And tonight, Sean and I and Kyle, once we get him in here, we got to get him. He traveling, folks. And when you're traveling, we know how that can mess up your Wi Fi. But what we want to talk to you guys about tonight is what it takes and what you need to have in place in order to raise capital for your business. And so and it's not complicated, but it is very important that you have these things in place because when you go up to an investor or you're looking to raise any kind of funds for your business, no matter what stage you are, from brand new all the way to you've been in business a while, if you don't have these key pieces, you probably will walk away with no money. Just like if you go to a bank, you need credit, you need financial statements, they want to see reserves. If you show up without that, you don't get anything. So it's very similar when you're raising capital, when you show up in front of an investor, what you need in place. And so, Sean, I know you always ask a question, especially for new investors or even other
Yeah.
investors or those looking to raise capital. You always ask them a question. What is that question and why do you ask them?
Yeah. So again, my name is Sean Timor. A little background on myself. I've been in the venture capital industry for roughly 30 years, a little bit over 30 years actually, since the 90s. And I've raised capital. I've helped raise capital on everything from technology companies to movies. Um, got licensed, eventually got licensed and worked for some of the largest broker dealers in the United States and helped them, as far as taking companies public, raising capital, things of that nature. And my partner and I, we kind of ventured out on our loan, came together. We started our own company. We raised capital for our own company, and then eventually we took our own company public. We signed huge deals with multi-billion dollar company, Fortune 100 companies, and we was able to successfully sell the company. And now what we do is we help smaller businesses raise capital and or go public or just advise them, because again, we've dealt with so many different companies out there. So the question I ask every um, business owner is, what is your billion-dollar idea? Right? Why do I ask that? Because back when we took our company public roughly almost 20 years ago, um, we were thinking in the millions. There was no word of, there was no thinking of billions. It was specifically millions, right? But now we're in the billion-dollar era, right? Where people, to be considered a unicorn, and you have companies right now that's billion-dollar valuation. You have billionaires walking around among us. So I always ask that question, what is your billion-dollar idea? And the reason why is because I don't want people to be thinking about millions, because this industry, one of the most lucrative industries in the world, you can literally go from a nobody to a billionaire overnight or a multimillionaire overnight. And it's just a matter of putting the right things together. So I ask small business owners that because I want them to be in that mindset that the sky is the limit. The sky is the limit on what they can do with their company. So that's Tyrus. That's the reason why I asked it, because again, you know, a lot of people don't think that far out, but we got to be very ambitious when we have our own companies. And because our job as CEOs is put a to create a value for them shares in the company, right? You want to create a value to where now, instead of your shares being at par value, your shares is worth, one, two, three, $10, $20, $50, $100, and etc. So that's
Very
the reason
good.
why I asked them. Yeah,
Got it. And so for me, that makes the number one thing that you need when you are ready or when you're starting to raise capital is you need the right mindset.
of
And
course.
you need to
Yes.
ask for the right number, because, or not even ask for the right number, but if you go to an investor and you're asking for $1,000, they're not going to take you seriously. And if
Yeah, of
you, and
course.
I hear it all the
He's
time
going
on
to look at you
Shark
as a
Tank,
piker, you know?
right? And I hear it all the time on Shark Tank when they feel like they can't make enough money. Like Mark Cuban will say, I don't see how I'm gonna make enough money. I don't
Of
see how this
course.
is a scalable business.
Hmm.
So
Yeah. And,
asking for
and
the right amount.
yeah, but because the reason why is if you look at it like this, right? It's almost like this, right? Some people, $10,000, $20,000 is like a dollar. People don't give a dollar to the homeless, right? So give a few dollars, maybe $10 to the homeless. But that's when somebody asks an investor for $1,000, they're looking at it like, well, how much money can I make off of that? I'm not comfortable with making $10,000. That's nothing. I go out to eat with $10,000. You know, that when I get all my family together, we go out to eat. That's $10,000 or 9,000 or whatever. So that's no money to some people. So yeah, that's the reason.
Okay. So if I take my number one step, and I want you guys that are tuning in to walk with us on this journey, my number one step would be to first get the right mindset. Once I have the right mindset, Sean, talk to me a little bit about the idea and how do I need to formulate that idea so it will be ready for an investor? Because I know I just can't go up and blurb out everything. How do I
Yeah.
shape and form my idea?
Right. So, obviously, anytime you have a business, you want to have a business plan, right? You want to write them ideas down and create a goal or create an end goal or end game or what you're looking at doing, right? And then once you have a business plan, what you want to do is you want to condense that down and to create what is known as a pitch deck. And the pitch deck, the business plan is pretty boring. It has all the different page may have 100 pages, whereas the pitch deck it may have 15 or lower pages, right? And it's more colorful, it's more pictures, it's pictures of the product. It's pictures of you and things of that nature. So it's more colorful and it's designed to give a synopsis of the business plan. So that's how you create the idea of what you're looking at doing. Now, sometimes that idea can change. And what you can do is you can just update the pitch deck. I'll give you an example. An opportunity may come along to where you may be able to acquire another company. And you're like, wow, I need capital to make this acquisition. So you can update that pitch deck in order to create that capital. Excuse me, create the investor interest.
Very good. Our partner just he ain't gonna get right tonight.
No,
Wherever he at, he's not gonna get right tonight. It is not
he's taking up
loving
my whole
him.
screen and everything.
The Wi-Fi is not loving him. Okay,
No,
so step one, we get our right mindset, our
of
billion
course.
dollar idea. Step two, we take that idea and put it into a plan. And from the business plan, we distill it down to a pitch deck. And so then when we get ready to have the conversation with the investor, we're able to walk to or in front of them and show them, here's my idea, billion dollar idea. Here's my plan of action. Here's my pitch deck. What are some of the elements of a pitch deck? You don't have to go deep, but what are just
Yeah,
some of the
yeah.
elements of a pitch deck?
Yeah, and let me tell you this. So I remember back in the '90s, right? Back in my dating days, and this is kind of going back to the last question, right? Back in my dating days, I had a date there, and this was back when Blockbuster. So I'm kind of giving my age, right? But back when Blockbuster was on, right? And so I was thinking to myself, I said, man, I would like some Burger King right now and I would like to go to Blockbusters, but I really don't feel like going. I have a date here in the house. I really don't feel like going. I wish there was a way for it to be delivered, right? So I'm like, wow. So what I did was I wrote a pitch deck out on a service to where the fast foods and the foods and things of that nature would be delivered to me, and somehow the video would be able to be transferred over to me instead of me going looking through Blockbuster. I would have a catalog. I would be able to look at. It kind of sound like something we have today. But the problem that I had was, and the problem with a lot of people, there's no follow up. I wrote out the business plan. I did everything up to the point of following up. And a lot of people get stuck at that stage because they're like, well, I don't know if other people will like this idea. I don't know how to get started, or I don't have the money to do this. Obviously, I didn't have no problem getting started, and I had the money to do it. I just didn't do it. And the timing was off because obviously there was no high speed internet back then. It was just dial up. So there was really no way for me to do it. So in order to do these things, everything have to kind of come together. You have to be in the right timing. You have to come through and you have to follow up. So that was my kind of continuation to the last question. So, you have to have a lot of follow up and you have to be able to move forward. Some of the elements of the pitch deck, obviously you want to write about the company. You want to have the mission. You want to have the executive team on there. You want to have some sort of financials, something like that. A summary of what you're looking at doing, right? So, for example, if you're looking at building hotels, you want to put a detailed information down about building hotels. So, and then you want to have an exit strategy. How is the investor going to get his money back, right? That can be several ways. That can be through interest payments, and then at maybe a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, whatever that time frame is, they get all their money back. Or it could be a stock buyback plan. For example, a share buyback plan. For example, you buy the share at $1, and I'll buy it back at $3. That's a share buyback plan. Or it could be to go public. 18 months. What we're looking at doing is our exit strategy is to go public on an exchange, bulletin board, Nasdaq, Dow Jones, Nasdaq, New York, Pink Sheets, whatever, etc. So that's some of the things that's on the pitch deck and some of the exit strategies.
I love it. Kyle, you with us? Have you made it into a space to where you got some signal and you can talk?
Cal sitting back there like Darth Vader.
Man, I'm moving around. Can you hear me? I'm in
Yeah, loud
every
and clear,
corner
bro.
of this hotel room. Can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear, bro.
Can y'all hear me?
I think Tyrus froze.
No, I'm here.
Oh my goodness. All
Oh,
right, man.
okay.
I'm like, okay. Tyrus is amazed by my beauty. Said that I'm here. But
Phenomenal.
what's going on, guys? Good job. That's some outstanding information, by the way. Outstanding.
Kyle, for you to jump in, because we talked about some of the elements of what you need in order to raise capital. We know you need an idea, $1 billion idea. We know you need a plan and a pitch deck. And we got some of the elements of the pitch deck from Sean. What's the next thing you need before you get on the phone with an investor asking them for their money?
One of the biggest things that I'm always, looking for is does your business have sizzle? And I'm looking for that
lost again.
sizzle.
Yeah, so basically what he's saying is, what we look for is we look for businesses
All
that
right, can you hear me?
attract investors. Yeah, we can hear you a little bit better. You got it? Kyle, you there?
Yeah,
Okay,
can you
we
hear
lost
me?
you, Kyle. You going in and out,
Can
bro.
you hear me okay?
Yeah, now we can.
Okay. Yeah. All right, can you hear me now? Okay.
Yeah.
So we're always looking for that business that has sizzle. And we're talking about the sizzle that when you're in the restaurant and you hear that guy walk by or that waitress walk by with that fajita or with that steak on there and it makes everybody look. That's what we look for in a business. Does your business have sizzle? Because if it does, people are going to want to invest in it. So when you got that pitch deck and that pitch deck is ready to go, now we need to make sure that your business has sizzle.
Sean,
And
talk to
so,
us about Ring Doorbell and
that's
the
funny.
sizzle from it and the opportunity and why you didn't make that step.
Yeah. So, um, to make a long story short, I was introduced to one of the guys that was, or actually, I knew him, but I was actually introduced to the Ring Doorbell product uh, in the 2000s. And basically, we went over to PF Chang's. I hate PF Chang's, but I was invited, so I went over to PF Chang's, and he was telling me about this new doorbell that I can see people who's on the other side and talk to them. And the way he was explaining it, it wasn't that interesting to me because, see, the thing about it, when you have a company, right, you got to be able to pitch the company and the ROI. But what a lot of business owners do is they'll go out and they'll ask you for investments, right? They'll pitch the product. And I'm sitting up there like, man, I don't even know if I like this company, first of all. But the guy who brought it to me was like a shyster, right? Yeah, he was helping them do some stuff, but he was a shyster. And I didn't want to get caught up in those stock scams or anything like that. He wanted to bring them on board with my company and they would have been publicly traded. So, but I would rather be safe than sorry when you're dealing with people who are not always ethical in the business. Because non-ethical people can get is an easy one-way trip ticket to prison. So you don't want to get involved with people like that. But you got to be, he came and he was pitching the product, you know, looking at the people and the Ring doorbell and all. And I'm like, so how's the investor going to make their money? You know, because if an investor's not going to make no money off of it, and you're just trying to get the product going and burn the investors, then you're never going to go anywhere with that, especially if they're investing money, because somebody is going to report you, and you can't do that. So, number one, you always have to think about the investor first when you have a company and you're getting dollars from investors. Investors are number one, right? Yes, you got to build up the company, but investors are number one in this business. But yeah, I had the opportunity, obviously, and I always look at it like this. Maybe if Ring Doorbell I would have signed the agreement with them. Maybe they wouldn't have got as big as they are now. Maybe they are, but I don't know. But yeah, it was quite an you look back and it's like, wow, maybe I should have went on and did something.
Yeah, so Sean, you are the person that my one of my mentors in real estate told me about a house that I let get away. He said, "We'll just call that one the one that got away." But you
Oh
got
yeah, I
more
have
than
many
one
of
that
those
got
stories.
away.
Of course,
Exactly. You got
of
Netflix
course.
that got away, a Netflix
Yeah,
idea. You
yeah,
got Ring Doorbell that got away from you, and
yeah.
so
The penthouse of San Diego got away from it. you know.
as a business owner, Sean said
Yes.
something very key. He said that you have to be able to articulate and explain to the investor how they're going to get their money back. And so if you're listening and you're whatever business it is, service based, product based, you're saying to yourself you need money. You can go out and raise capital. You can start out with friends and family. We all know that. But then there are the angel investors and the seed investors and the people that have money that will invest in your product. And it is as simple as you just networking. You got to get out, you got to put the word out. This is why once you have your $1 billion idea, you have your mindset right, you begin to take that information and put it into a plan. You have your pitch deck. You have something that sizzles. You start talking to people and they're like, ooh, that's a great idea. I love that idea. This is a perfect idea. You should push that out. Now you know it has a little sizzle. Once you understand how to or be able to articulate, okay, if I take this money, how do they get it back? Meaning, if I take 100,000, how do they get the 100,000 back? How much of my product or my service do I have to sell? What is it that I have to do in order for them to get their money? Once you have that answer, it is literally going out and having conversations. If you are a business owner and you're not talking about what you do or your product or your idea all the time, you won't get it out and you won't catch those people who are just waiting, because there are people who are waiting. We talked about last night how there were people who lost hundreds of thousands of dollars in crypto. They're waiting to put their money somewhere. Why not your business? If you look at Elon Musk and all these other people that we put on such a high pedestal, they're doing exactly what we're talking about right now. They're raising capital. They're going out and saying, hey, I got a brand new idea. I don't want to use my own money. I want to use somebody else's money. What do you think? And that could be a simple pitch right there. It's not brain surgery. And I think because we don't have the information, we fear having the conversation.
Of
And for
course,
those
yeah.
of you that have invested in real estate at any point in time, it's the same thing. In order to buy a house, you need money. And where do you get that money from? You can go ask a hard money lender. You can ask a private lender. You can ask friends or family. But there are different people that you can ask for that money in order to invest in real estate. Why not ask for that money to invest in your business, in your idea? So you can take your idea to another level. And you have options. You have, okay, I have a business, I'm going to keep it. I want to buy other businesses like mine. You need capital to do that. You may want to go public. And there's so many different ways to go public. It's not just jumping on the New York Stock Exchange. It's not just going straight to NASDAQ. But there are other ways that you can go public, but you need capital. You need momentum. You need movement. And so for you as the owner, it's starting to think like an investor. And so the next step I would say then, Sean and Kyle, is how do we start to think like an investor versus I own this business and it's my baby? And either one of you can answer.
Go ahead, Kyle. I'll let you do that. Kyle, you want to take that?
Speak on that. Yeah, I can speak on that. What happens is we need to be conditioned. See, we as a people, we're not brought up like that. We have always been brought up to be, go get a job, go to school, get educated. And when you go to education is just there to teach you how to work a job. We're not taught, grow up and put something together, and then that's what we live off of. So we have to recondition ourselves. We got to rethink the way business is. And unfortunately, sometimes by the time we meet people, it's too late. They've been on that path of, 40 hours a week, Saturday, Sundays off, the house with the white picket fence, 2.5 kids and a dog. And now they want to start a business. And, most of the time they're starting a business because they saw something or they've been somewhere or they know what's going on and they think they're going to do it. But they don't understand that's just the beginning of it. You have to be conditioned and you got to be groomed to understand, work ethic. I value the military. The best run business in America is the United States military. Not just the world's greatest fighting force, the Navy, but all of them. Every one of the fighting forces, including the Coast Guard, guess what? They got unlimited budgets. What does that mean? That means when you go somewhere, you ain't worried about getting back home. Because whatever it takes, hell or high water, you're gonna make it back home. You're gonna have supply chain, you're gonna have food, you're gonna have fuel, you're gonna be able to cargo. That's what conditioned me in my mind that when I was in the military, man, we are good to go. So now I took that mentality into business, into venture capital. And then when we realized that, hey, look, as long as you can get capital, your business is going to flourish. So I don't care if we down to the last dime. Sean and I are getting on the phone and we're going to get somebody to invest in whatever project, whatever venture, whatever, we need to get accomplished. That's what we do.
What about you, Sean?
Yeah, again, I just like Cal said, I'm former Air Force, and Air Force, we one of the hardest working, we are the hardest working military out there. And so I take a lot of that experience. Tyrus, you part of you used to be Air Force too. So we take a lot of that experience, and that experience drive us because you get used to, like I used to work 3 on 4, 3 on 3 off, right? 12-hour shifts. Sometimes we didn't get off to 14 hours, 15 hours. It's not like you could just check out and punch out. You have to get the job done. So that's my mentality. And I got partners with the same mentality. It's not like we settle. It's not like we just sit around and say, okay, we'll take care of it tomorrow. We work until we get the job done. And to me, that is the example of a business owner, right? It's not there may not be a tomorrow. You're supposed to work and you're supposed to get your job done because again, it's all about creating value for your company. That is the CEO's number one job is to create value.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think the other component of that is because you're right. When you're working, because I remember doing 3 on 3 offs, 12 hours.
Yeah,
I remember doing 2 on 3 off, 3 on 2 offs, rotating shifts. So you might be 6 to 6 1 week, and then when you come back, you're 6 to 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. And
exactly. Yep.
it creates a different drive in you.
Yeah,
So as the owner, you have to have drive. You have to be able to have these conversations with potential investors and let them tell you no. You're going to hear
exactly.
1,000 no's before you
Yep.
get to that
Yep.
yes.
Yep. And let me tell you this too, Tyrus, right? So I'll tell you this is a funny story. Not a lot of people know this, right? I think you know. I think I might have mentioned it to you, but not a lot of people know it. Cal and I, when we had our business, our publicly traded company, well, this was right before we went public. We was working so many hours that our wives thought we was cheating. So understand, we would go to work 8 o'clock, 8:30, whatever. We wouldn't get home to 4 in the morning, and then we
Woo.
would do it again the next day because our mentality was to get the job done. Yes, we could have waited the other day, but we probably wouldn't have slept because it would have been on our mind. So why not just stay and get the job done?
I love it. Yeah, that's a lot of work. And I know it. I know what it is to work like that. So let's make it practical. And then we're going to get you guys out of here for tonight. I want to make it practical. My business, I am Joe Blow business owner. Actually, I'm a plumber. And I want to scale my plumbing business by acquiring two other plumbing businesses that are in my location. We are all doing less than $100,000 a year. So it makes sense for me to go to these other two plumbing businesses and say, let me buy you guys out. I know I need to hire more staff. I know that I need a couple of more trucks. I know that I need some journeymen underneath me. I need insurance. I need material. I need working capital. And I went to these two gentlemen and they told me that they would sell me their plumbing companies for 100K each. And then I want 300K for working capital for myself. So that's $500,000. Let's follow the math. With 200,000 I can buy these two companies. I want 300,000 so I can build some operating capital, hire some new people, build my team, get some admins, give me some room to breathe, some advertising money. So here's what I'm going to do. I may go to an investor, and before I even get there, I'm gonna step through every step. My mindset is I want to be the biggest plumbing business in the nation. Whether I get there or not, that's the mindset. That's the goal. Because wherever you set your ceiling is usually where you will fall below. So if you set the ceiling way up there, like Les Brown used to say, shoot for the stars and you'll fall on the moon, or whatever he used to say.
Yeah,
Shoot
yeah.
for the stars. So I'm telling myself that I want to be $1 billion plumbing company. I want to own all the plumbing companies in my area. Now I can create my plan on how do I do that. Well, I need to acquire other companies, which I've already had conversations. I know is possible. I put that information in my pitch deck. What is my goal? To acquire these plumbing companies, to grow, to scale, to be the premier plumber in all of New Jersey. How am I going to do it? I'm going to acquire these companies. I'm going to hire 10 people. I have my executive team. I can hire a couple of more staff. I'm putting it all together. Then I make sure it has sizzle on it. How do you have a sizzle with a plumbing company? Well, we haven't missed any. We're available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We have the lowest rates in the area. We don't overcharge you. We have great quality work, and we got 1,000 customer reviews to speak to that. That has sizzle. With that, now I can go with, okay, my mentality is now to talk to everybody I know about my idea of buying these other plumbing companies. And so I might be networking with other service-based businesses. I might be networking or going and talking to banks just to have conversation. I might be going out to dinner with friends and telling them that my idea is to buy these two companies for 200,000, and then I'm gonna scale the business with 300,000, and we look good. Well, how does the investor get their money back? Well, when I buy into these companies and we grow, that means my revenue is going to increase and I can pay you your money back from that revenue. Now I'm ready to have a conversation with an investor when someone in my circle says, you know what? I know Kyle from, by the way, he has money. He retired. He got some stack. How about you reach out to him and just tell him your idea and see what he says? That's the process. Now, there are more nuances and there are other things that you need to make sure you have in order. And you have to put all this stuff in order and detail it. But when you talk about the overall process, that's it. It's no different than me seeing a property in Baltimore saying, you know what, I want to flip that house and sell it. I go get the current value of it. I go and look at the after repair value. I get my estimates for how much it's going to take me to fix it up. I know I need 120 grand. And I go to an investor and I say, look, I need to borrow 120,000 from you. I'm going to buy this house, fix it up, and then I'm going to sell it for 300. I'll pay you your 120 back with some interest. Or if you got a 50-50 partner split, it's just math. And business is the same no matter what industry you're in. It's the same conversations, the same math, the same process. Now you have to ask yourself, why am I not doing it? And so as we get ready to close out, I want to hear from Kyle and Sean. I know some of the answer, but why aren't we seeing more people take this route? They'll take the bank route, get denied. They'll take the bootstrap route and run out of money. Why aren't most people, or even some, going the route of let me raise the capital?
Yeah, you know, it's I looked up a interesting stat, and basically it said the most affluent, and this kind of it broke it down by race as well. It says the most the affluent people, the black people and the white people and things of that nature. Most white people, they are more than likely to go out and get stocks as an investment and become affluent in that, if affluent. And then they said about black people, they're more likely to get real estate. And it's because a lot of people that's white, they have access, right? They have a system in place to where, and I'm not talking about I'm talking about the elites, right? There's a system in place to where, somebody knows somebody that can help them out, help them raise capital. Whereas more as far as with the black people, you know, look at all of the different videos and things of that nature about buying real estate, about buying land, and about building houses and things of that nature. So, but it all boils down to is access. Access. You know, shares and stock is one of the most lucrative investments and securities that you can get involved with, right? Where a real estate project is gonna, it's probably appreciate, but it's gonna appreciate slowly. But when you have stocks of a company, when you have shares of your own company and you go public, it can literally change your lifestyle overnight. Cal and I went from, you know, basically, little something to being multimillionaires. And it was like the snap of the finger, right? One day it was like, okay, supposed to be going public tomorrow. The next day was like, wow, Cal, your network just increased almost 100 million overnight. So these are the realities. No real estate in America can do that, appreciate that fast. But this is the stock game. It's totally different. And it's out here for the taking. And it's just a matter of people with no access coming together and getting that knowledge out there. And we have a course that teaches that information. It's called Capital Raising Academy. And that's the email address. Excuse me, that's the web address, capitalraisingacademy.com. You can go here and you can learn how to raise capital for your own company. And then if your company is at the place where it needs to go public, schedule a call with us and we can help you guys go public as well. Kyle, you want to add anything to that? I think Kyle froze again.
Yeah, he might have froze again.
Kyle, you're on mute, buddy. Yeah, so
Yeah, can you hear
that's
me?
yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, and Sean, when he said access, just a quick story. And we were in San Diego. We had a mayor years ago, and I remember I was doing a project with the mayor's son. Now, think about this. This is the mayor of San Diego, but his son had introduced me to his program. At the time, you guys remember MP3. MP3 was one of the hottest stocks that was out there. MP3 was up to like $100 a share. And this gentleman introduced me to this company, loaded for free. And I was like, what? Napster? Like what on the internet? Now remember, this is before high-speed internet.
Dial-up. The dial-up age.
But the only reason why I was able to find out about Napster is because I had access to.
I think he gone again.
Yeah, access is everything, Tyrus. I mean, I remember, my mother. Everybody knows My mother was a
Yeah,
blue
did you
collar
guys
worker.
get that?
No, we didn't get it, bro.
Yeah, he got to
We
get
didn't get it.
access to better
Yeah.
Wi-Fi.
My mother, yeah, I know. My mother, she was a blue collar worker. She worked at General Motors, right? We wasn't taught credit. We wasn't taught anything about the stock market. You know where I learned the stock market at? I learned the stock market from when I was in England, and it was maybe 3 o'clock in the morning, and this British white guy was looking in the newspaper, and basically, and he started talking about investments, and I asked him to explain it to me. Then he told me to go out and buy a book called Warren Buffett's book. I believe it's called The Buffett's Way, and I read that book, and my my mind blew up. We always talk about when you go home, you look up in the sky, you can't go to sleep and things of that nature. That's how I was, and I was thinking, I'm like, wow, this is incredible. This is how you make money. This guy was a multi-millionaire. He was like a GS something. He wasn't military, but he was like a GS status. But he gave me that information and started kind of coaching me before I even knew what coaching was. And next thing you know, but that's the access Cal was talking about. I never would have had it. I never would have came across it, but this gentleman introduced me to that industry. And that's how I learned. And I've been learning ever since.
Mm, that's good. I want to frame something for you guys as we get out of here. Number one, you got to go and research. And so, where we're talking about access, now is no excuse to say that you don't have access because you have the power of the internet. Now, we know there's a lot of information on the internet, but go and get something and then go to someone, us, and ask the right questions. But now you have more access than ever before. There's a company, it's the largest asset manager in the world, BlackRock. When we talk about starting from wherever you start from, whether you start from zero or you start from somewhere, they started from zero with a credit line. Now
They
they had
did.
access. They went and got $5 million in 1988. By 1989, they turned that 500 million to 2.7 billion. By 1994, they turned 2.7 billion to 53 billion. They raised money, borrowed money, sold stake in their company along the way. And now today they manage $11.5 trillion. When I look at a BlackRock, yes, they had access. They were able to go to somebody and ask for $5 million. And they got it on a credit line, so they had to pay that back. That wasn't a free. I just gave you free money. You pay me back credit. You can do the same. You just got to get in the right rooms and right circles with a different mentality. And you'll know real fast if you're in the right room when you start talking about $1 billion ideas and people like, oh man, you better go. That ain't the right room. And it's okay to separate yourself. I was on a call last week with a guy, sold this company for, I want to say, $60 million, just asking questions to hear the mindset of where I'm trying to go. I don't know where I saw it, but I saw it recently, and they said sometime it was Alex Hermosi. He said it. He said he was talking about a guy said, "Can I buy you a coffee and carry your coffee?" He said, "No, I got 4 assistants. I don't need you to do anything with my coffee." And then you think I owe you free mentorship. But Alex Hermosi said something, Sean, that made so much sense to me. When you look for somebody who you want to emulate or be like, find the person in the next rung up. So if you're at zero, find a person that did 6 figures in business because they can teach you something.
Of course.
When you hit six figures, find the person that made $1 million because they can teach you something. When you make $1 million, find the person that made 10 million. But some of us, we want to go from zero to, I want to talk to Jeff Bezos. I want to have dinner with Jay-Z. Would I pay to have dinner with Jay-Z or Warren Buffett? No, I wouldn't, because I'm not in a position to even capitalize on the information that Warren Buffett has. He's going to tell me an idea that's going to take me $100 million to pull off. Find the next rung in the ladder and stop trying to jump and skip it. So you see it streaming across the bottom. If you want to learn more about raising capital and how these guys took their company public, visit webinar.capitalraisingacademy.com. Full webinar that will take you through all the steps, all the information that you need to know. And then if you want to go further, go to capitalraisingacademy.com and book a phone call, because now is the time to actually take your business to the next level, whatever that means. And I see you, LDH. I appreciate you tapping in. There's no excuse no more. We shouldn't be running out of money in our businesses. We shouldn't be struggling in our businesses. We shouldn't be getting denied by banks and then quitting, because raising capital is there. There are venture capitalists. There are angel investors. There are people that have money that need to put their money somewhere. When you're listening, what are they telling you? Diversify, invest, make your money work for you. Well, then there's people out there doing that. Why not you? So
And
we're going to get
Cal,
out of here.
Tyrus, real
Oh,
quick,
before.
and I just want to say, because I know the question is for the audience out there, well, how are you going to help me find investors, right? But we have a phone room, and 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, all they do is speak to accredited investors that want to invest into projects. This is all they do. They just make these calls from early afternoon to 6, 7 o'clock at night, and speak to investors about investing in companies. So we have a whole list of leads of people that want to invest. So I just wanted to kind of state that, because again, we didn't touch on it. And I know that's a question. Well, how are you going to get the investors? We can handle that for you. So it's already taken care of.
I love it. I love it. Kyle, you got one more opportunity to say something. Oh, he gone. Appreciate you, ladies and gentlemen. Tune in next week, next Thursday. We will hit the next phase of our topic. And if you stay on this journey with us, you're going to see we're going to take you from A to Z, walk you through all of the steps, and show you, because we're doing it ourselves. We're raising capital to take Legacy Wealth Capital Group public, and we're
Yes, sir.
doing all kind of amazing things, buying businesses, building software, launching agencies. So we're on this journey too. And what we're going to end up doing is documenting and showing you the process so you can see it real, and not just look at Elon Musk is raising capital. How in the world is he doing it? We're going to show you how it's done by walking through and doing it ourselves. We're having the same conversations that we're telling you to have. We're reaching out to investors. We're doing everything that we're telling you to do so you can do it yourself. One of our goals is to take 10,000 companies public, help 10,000 companies go public. We need 10,000 companies that want to go public. Why? Because like Sean said, and I'm realizing it more and more that I research, you just don't know how your life changes when you take that company public and those shares start to have value. Not just the revenue that you're bringing in from selling, and no, the ownership. I'm getting out of here. I don't want to take them through all of that, Sean. We'll
That's
take
next
y'all
week's,
through that
Tyrus.
later.
That's next week.
Next week topic: how can you become wealthy beyond your wildest imagination
Yeah.
by taking a company public? I appreciate you
Yeah.
guys. Have a great rest of your evening.
Thank you,
and we will
guys.
see you next time.
God bless you guys. Take care.